All right, hey everybody. Thanks for joining. I started a minute earlier than I wanted to. Oh well. I'm glad you could join. It looks like my camera changing light. Or am I just casting a shadow over my face? Oh well. Well, we're going to do some more PayloadCMS and some more NextJS coding. So there are a few things that I want to work on, and I have my to-do list over here, which is what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at the wrong thing, though. So that's unhelpful. Well, we'll be working on at least Favicons, however you want to pronounce it. Then we'll also be working on our social section. So I want to have social media icons in the footer of my website that I'm working on right now. So the project that we're working on, I see what my issue is. My computer keeps getting unplugged. So we'll work on that, and then I also want to work on, gotta readjust some stuff here real quick. We'll also work on plain text. So I have a plain text converter function that I'd like to use to completely render my entire site in plain text for schema purposes. So that's kind of last on my list because I don't really have, like, schema is super optional, including the content on a page, also super optional, and may actually even be easier to do it a different way, like just using on the client side, looking at all the HTML that's rendered, and then strip the tags. So we'll see what happens when we get started. So here we go. So right now, I do have Favicons, I'm going to say Favicons, on my front end. But when I go to the back end, I get the Vercel Favicon. So I want to change that, and it's super easy to do. I just actually have to do it now. So we're going to come over to, I'm on a different screen right now because I have to go and log into my Cloudflare real quick to access the bucket that I want to use. And we're just going to go to our payload config. And here we have our icons already kind of initialized, but since the icon URL and dark icon URL don't have anything, and I think I still have the constants up here. I do. And right now they are, I try to fetch globals, but you can't do that in the config. So we're going to just replace all of this, which is going to break our favicons, which it looks like it already did. Oh, let's end that. That's a circular error there. I'm just gonna come over here. Which site's going to have it? I think it's going to be this one. It doesn't actually matter. So we're going to go to, again, I'm just over on a different screen. I'm going to look for my R2 document or object storage. And then I've got, I think it's my template CMS, and then I should have in the actual bucket itself, which I still can't show you because that has personal information. We're going to use, what is this? Template is not what I'm looking for. I think I found it. Objects. Perfect, yes. Icon fulls, that's what I'm looking for. It is. So I can come over here and do, for my icon URL, do that. And then for dark mode, let's see. Dark mode, dark mode, dark mode. We should have the white one, which, you know, in this, my Chrome browser doesn't really respect my dark mode setting. So putting in a white one is probably not going to make the most sense, but we're still going to do it. So I wonder if that was the error. Okay. And then drop that in, and then let's reload this. And then while I'm just giving that a second to think, I'm going to put in this new images, or not new images, but use this logo URL up here as another const and just provide a default image. And so these are all things that I really wish I could use data from my database, but it just is not in the cards right now. So why don't we just use this just because it's easy. All right, so I'm going to save that, and then I should be able to refresh this, and hopefully we don't get a bunch of errors again, because then we might have something wrong and we need to go fix it. Okay, we don't have a bunch of errors, and I promise there is that URL, or the favicon, but since it's white, you're not going to be able to see it until I add the other one in the dark mode. So that's really all it is. And so what this is doing is it's setting the priority for the favicon, which we really don't need, and then providing the URL with the sizes, which again we don't really need, but we'll leave it there, and then telling the browser what kind of favicon it is, and then saying what the relation is. And so there are other options for, like, if you have I think we can do an array here. Yeah, so they're going to be, maybe it's just icon, but regardless. And then we can have a dark mode one, which just uses the media query, prefers color scheme dark. So all good stuff, easy to do. Took us not but a minute and a half, probably a little bit longer. And then for the logo URL, that's for the open graph. So for here, since I can't really show this in general, I can go to the head tag, and then we can find our OG title, description, site name, image, and all that. So the image is the one that I put in here. So that URL matches what I have right here. And so all of that is good. So why don't we work on our social section a little bit? I guess that took maybe about 5 minutes. But either way, we can now check that off of our to-do list. Excuse me. So next up, we are going to work on our social section component. Now that we've got a nice little warm-up going on, like we got into the zone, we know what we're doing now. It's going to be hopefully easier, but I don't know. So first things first, we're going to go to our global settings, which has these social links. And so I can also include, I have LinkedIn. My music cable isn't working great. There we go. And so I can add in my LinkedIn here, which it's not like a secret who I am at this point. So here we go. So that's my LinkedIn. And then what other social media have I included already? I don't use TikTok or Threads or Vimeo, nor Pinterest, Facebook, or Instagram. So none of those. I can remove that. And we can just save this. And that should be good. So now, let's leave this open so we can look at our API. And we can see here our social links. And so we will use this to work on our social component in a footer. So let's pull up our just regular local host. And instead of scrolling to the very bottom of this page, I'm going to just go to a shorter page because that's going to be way easier. So here we have our footer that we can see very easily. And so above the copyright information, we are going to add a social section. So I think I already have, so steps, sponsored, don't need any of that right now, or the feed, FAQ block, or cards. Do I have, I don't think I have a social section. All right, cool. So that's what we get to build. So I do have a different project, which I'm going to pull up real quick, which does use this. I think it's this one. Either way, I'm not going to have it on the screen, especially because the environment variables were up. But not anymore. I took them down before I moved it across because I'm not irresponsible. So I'm going to just pull in real quick the social media stuff that I have here. Oop, that's in components. Blocks maybe? Social links, collections, blocks. So I don't know where I have this. Oh, no, it wouldn't be in the footer. Well, I can navigate to it from the footer. All right, so social. All right, here we go. So this does not tell me where it is, so I'm going to come over to this project and go to not blocks, but not those components either, but in my app, I should have components here, which is what I actually want. And so we're going to do a new directory where we'll call it social, where we're going to have another new directory called social section. Then we will have our TypeScript index.tsx. And then we're going to need a new style sheet, which will be index.module.scss. And then I believe we just need a new TypeScript file that we're going to call social icons. We'll see if that needs to be TSX. It does. All right, so we will refactor, rename, do this as TSX. And so while we're in here, I am going to copy and paste this code, and I'll go through it in just a second. But I want to be able to have everything that we need all in one place. So we won't need this open anymore. Social icons. Shouldn't need that. Perfect. So last thing, does not appear that I have any class names here, but I do for here. So we'll come to social icons, which now has index.module, and we are going to copy and paste that as well, and then find where this is actually supposed to go, which is right there. Perfect. So we have our social section, social icons, and then our module. So connect with us on social. That should be fine. Now let's go to our footer. If I can not type things. Okay. And then we will go above our copyright information and do a new div, which is going to be, which I actually don't need a new div because the social section should do that for me. And so I can save that. It refreshes and I can see YouTube and I can see my LinkedIn. So we'll need to change a few things about how this is rendering. I can close this other project. But we're in good shape here, and I would like, let's say we'll style our copyright to have let's actually not style that. Let's do a horizontal rule, which is going to go all the way across, but we'll set it to have a class name, classes.hr, I guess. Not a whole lot to write for that. HR. And then I think that actually might do what I need it to do. But also I would like to do width of, we'll say like 25%, because we don't want it to be all the way across. And then we need to do margin auto for the left and right, which should center it. There we go. Perfect. I don't think I can do... Can I change this to just be color? Yes, I can. So the border was adding a little too much for me. So I like the way that looks. Now we need to go to our social, where we're going to have this be anywhere I see secondary brand color. We'll do light primary. And was that light primary 70? Yeah, so I don't... That's actually fine. All right, and then I see light primary there. Then we have... we'll work on the hover here in a second. Social links. Let's do and hover. This will be variable, fill variable, not white, but light primary 70, which should make it a little less jarring going from that to white. Get rid of this. There we go. That looks good. I need to make sure, because I will forget, each of these social icons should open in a new tab, and they do. Great. So next we have our social links. I can tell an older, less wise version of me made this. All right, so background color. Why? So let's get rid of that. All right, so we have next, let's see how our social section, we have our class name, social icon. So on the footer, we can do class name here, do classes of social section. And then here we can go to our footer, do social section there, and then do display flex, justify content center. All right, and so there's something else going on here. Oh, that would explain that. All right, so that text do class name, classes dot header. Come back to that in a second. No, we won't. We will though. So let's come here and do a new, not TypeScript. I need a new style sheet. New style sheet, and we'll do index.module, add, and then do dot header, do color variable light primary, and then we need to import that. And there's that. So now we can work with what we have here, where I think this needs to go away because I think it's being carried down. So if we go to our footer, go to social section, this should have flex direction column, and yes, a line item center. I don't think justify content is going to work like I want it to, which is fine. And then I don't want the header to be that large, so we'll do a font size of, not that, 0.8 rem maybe. More than that, do 1.1. That looks about right. Then we can do a header, or at top of the header we can do margin top. Let's try it. I'm trying to trust my autocomplete a little bit more. That works. I know it can't reference my front end, but that's not a big deal. It seems to be working for me so far. All right, so I also don't like that it's the same color as this font here because it just looks like it's a link, or at least not the weight. So if I can do font weight, can I do thin is not an option. Less bold. So okay, that's too much. 300 maybe. I don't know if it recognizes anything under 400. Does not. All right, so in that case, we'll change this to be a less opaque version of itself. There, so now we have connect with us on social media, and both icons are clickable. So then we can put it down to a mobile size, and things still work great, but let us on not small, well, I guess at small break, we can do, well, yeah, so we can do, well, first, okay, so let's do transition one thing at a time here. Transition, do the same thing there, and then add, instead of hover always, we can do at include small break. So ideally when I hover here, it shouldn't change colors, which is perfect because when you're on mobile, you're not going to have a hover state. Typically, you could, but it'll sometimes just have a wonky appearance. So I typically don't. But then as we zoom out, we can see now that I'm able to hover over both and still see the text effect. So that's looking pretty good. I don't hate that. Perfect. So now what we want to do, I don't need to see this, but let's go ahead and look through what this code is doing. So we don't need to look at the footer because all we did was add a horizontal rule and a social section. So we will take that away. Okay, so I can set header to false. So we'll put that away. This is just setting all of that stuff that we did for the header. And then here we have the actual social section. So we're getting our social icons from this file, which is just a collection of all of the different types of social links that I wanted to support. So I just found SVG files of each of them, put them in here using a switch statement, and then we can see here that we are just having a default social link, which is an empty span, and it's taking in for each channel, which is coming from our global settings here. So we pass in our social media, we get our social links, we have our social media being passed down here, and we're mapping through this array here. So we're checking the channel, and then once we check the channel, it passes down into social icons. So we see channel equals YouTube, and it returns this social link, and it puts it into an A tag for me. And so the same thing happens with LinkedIn. So I pass in social media, it starts its looking through here. It says, well, it's not YouTube, not Facebook, it's not Instagram, it's not TikTok, but it is LinkedIn. So I'm going to assign this value here, this SVG value, to the social link variable. And then that assigns it up here. This is now complete. And we now add the social link down here to the A tag. So that's what the social icons do. And then we get our global settings from our payload types, which is what this is. And then our get cached global utility, which we have looked at in the past. This is getting all of the global settings from our API using the global settings slug, which is the global type here. And that means that whenever I update this, it'll automatically refresh the cache and give me the freshest global data. So if I were to add a new social link and this was a deployed site, we'd be able to see that too. Then we import our classes, which you saw. So now we get to check if there's a header. If there is, we return that header, which is just connect with us on social. And then class name, which is just a string class name. So that means I don't need one here. And now that we've built this as a component, we can use it in other places. So I have on our blog a place for our authors information. So on the aside here, where is it? We have our authors, the classes, blog authors, Okay. So let's move this check out a little bit to make this a little bit more readable. Jeez, what happened here? Let's just do user, which means I shouldn't need any of these checks. And then I can import my user type. Weird. That should have worked. User. Payload types. Now it's fine. Maybe I just broke something else. Guess so. All right, so that cleans that up a little bit. But now, for each of our authors, which this is going to get a little messy, because if we go to our blog, and then we go to any post, especially ones that have multiple authors, I guess I could put the social link underneath each one. So that should be okay. So we've got our blog authors, and then we can do for each one have its own section. So we're going to do another div here. We'll do key equals index, get this key away from there, and then see what this does. Shouldn't be much. Did not think so. So now at the end here, we can add our social section. Here's something interesting. So we'll do false, because this is just going to add from our global section, which that's not what we want. We don't want our global settings to create our social icons. So what we actually need to do is use our not social section, our social icons, and then channel, which I know this is going to break stuff, but I'm going to move on here. Social section. So instead of this having our brain work, please. So instead of having the cached global working here, we're going to move this to our footer, which I think I closed. We're going to go ahead and cut that so we can do this without breaking anything. We already have our cached global here. That's perfect. So what we can do is now, assuming we already have types, can I import our, no, so it'll be from global settings. So that's fine. We can add in our channel. All right, so what we're going to do is this is going to pass in our channels, our social media. And instead of the social media being something that we define here, it's going to be like we want to control which one it is. So first things first, we can just put this up at the footer level because we need it anyway. So this should just be globals. And then we'll come back to this because we need to set a new type, I believe. So if we go to our global settings, we're going to add an interface name to our social media here. And so we'll do interface name, just do social links props. And then we're going to do payload generate types to get that done for us. Perfect. Then we can come back to our social section where we're going to get rid of all of this. And then we're going to do type props equals social links props. Is that what I called it? How could I forget so fast? Yes, it is. Social links props. And we'll also have a header, which is going to be Boolean, and class name, which is going to be a string. And so we can set all of this then to be props. Then we can do our props dot, which should be header. And then we can do props dot, I don't know what the other thing is going to be called, props dot social links. Channel. Oh, I guess that would be right. Yeah, props dot. Yeah, so all that's fine. Okay. So props map key channel ID. That's perfect. That's good. And then let me see here. Oh, I can't open that right now. That's fine. So we won't need our cached globals. We won't need our global settings. And then we can go back to our footer where we're going to pass in social media. And then header will be true. What else does this need? So this is going to be social media. All right, so all of this should still work for my footer. So we'll go check that out first. Okay. Footer should not change. But it does because this is not ready. All right. Props.map is not a function. So I think if I go to social section, props.map. It should be. All right, what kind of errors am I getting right now? Is it just that? Oh. Well, no, this is already coming through as an array. And there's only header, class name, and then all of the array things here. So, and it's getting the channel right. We have the key, we have, oh, this channel dot channel. I don't think that's actually the problem, but social icons. So it's taking, oh, it's taking channel dot channel already. So I don't need that. Let's just get rid of some stuff real quick. Don't need that. Don't need that. And then if we get rid of those now. Social link props, export type. So all of that is correct. Let's do payload generate types again. Hopefully something works this time. No, so it's saying it's possibly null. And I'm still getting the same error. What happens if I log my props? All right, so I'm not getting an array. Interesting. Why isn't that an array? So if I go over to our social links, we have an array. All right, so let's log props dot map. So props. Then if I do okay, interesting. So it's coming in as not an array. All right, so I wonder then if this needs to be global setting, social links. I think I just learned a new TypeScript thing that I didn't know about. We'll see here in a second. Well, no, it does the same thing, but so let's log our props. So something is happening here. So what I'm passing in might not be right for the footer. So let's take a look. So I think what I need to do instead is do something like channels and have it send in social media dot, or just send in social media. So when I do that, I can come down here where, well, channels isn't going to be quite right. Well, it doesn't matter. So I can just call it social links. Sure, social media. And then we can do our social links again. We can do social links props. And do, actually, so this should be props dot. All right, getting there. So now we can see that it is passing in our actual social links. Problem though. So hold on, so why wasn't this working? So we pass in social links. Okay, so let's just pass in the social links then. And instead of that, we'll do our social links and have that be social links. Social links. Get rid of those props. Will this work? So far, so good. So then we can add the header back in and the class name. But we don't need props. We can just do class name header, and then do class name, string, header, boolean. And header should default to true. All right, all of that's back in business. Cool. So now take this up here. That works. We're good. Moving on, if I can remember where I was. Up over to our blog. Now we're going to take our social icons here, and we're going to actually change this back to social section, where we're going to have our social links come from the author themselves. So again, we need to come over to our users. And then once I get to my users, I think what's going on here, bud? There we go. I knew you could do it. So the users we're working with are these two. And so I do already have social links. Perfect. So I can just do well, we get to do something different here. So we're going to go to our users, and instead of this fields, we can just do social links. And so this is my own, like, I see why that didn't work. So I need to import this. This is my own, like, custom field component, partial, whatever, so I can keep reusing the same setup here. So we got YouTube. We'll use the same thing because I don't have a long list of different social media, but we can do that one and then do the same thing over here, where we'll do YouTube, and then we'll do LinkedIn. Hit save. And so now we should have everything we need to come back to our social section here and add our author.social links, and this only if author.social links. So I can save that, refresh this. Oh, and then I want to do header false. And so then we can do new class name. We'll do classes.author socials. And go to our classes here, where we'll do author socials. And we can do fill, dark primary, which hopefully works and overwrites what's already included. Does not. So let's make it important. Oh, so I need to do the SVG. I don't know if I need to do important. I did not. Perfect. So it still transitions to a color I don't want. So I should be able to fix that though. If I can do, this can be just regular dark primary, and then at hover, fill, dark primary 70. There we go. And then I should also be able to do justify content, flex start, and then just do gap of 1 rem. Unless, well, let's refresh everything first. Okay. So let's inspect this right quick because it's this div. Where's this div coming from? Social section. We have this div here. Don't think I need this div. I do need this div because it's what separates the header from everything else. So in that case, maybe not. Okay, so we do. So if there is a header, what we'll actually do, so if header, and then we can put our, div back in place. Else, we'll just do our social icons. This part here. There we go. So let's see what this does. So that's back to normal, and then I come here, and I should now be able to use in our author's social I need to add display flex. Okay, so why did it do? Oh, okay. So there is a bunch of margin in here. So if I get rid of that, that looks better to me. So lucky for us, we have all of that access right here. So we can do padding. We'll do that, but not at the start. So right, bottom, left, and then we can do the same thing for margin, which honestly then I don't really need padding because I just need the margin to be this. Oh, so maybe not SVG here. This should be add an A. I'm getting a few errors, so I'm going to figure that out here in a second. Okay, and then top and bottom can probably still be 0.5. Maybe even 0.75. There. So now those look good. Doesn't affect this at all. But now we can have these authors include their links there. And so let's see what happens if I expand this. It gets added to the end, or to the bottom still. So I wonder if I can have this be on the same line. So let's take a look. I don't want it to be a link though. So it's going to be this div that we need to do class name. We can do classes dot blog author info. So come here to blog author info. Display flex direction row, and then have a gap. Yes, align items center for sure, and then flex wrap. And we can actually do something like justify content space between, where hopefully that then becomes, so maybe not space between, blog authors, blog info. Can I set the width of this container to 100%? Yep, that's what I needed to do. So width of 100%. There we go. So that looks nice. And then we can even add under each blog author info, just a, oh, here we, yeah, so we can do the array. And then to close out each one, we'll do in this div a horizontal rule with the class name of classes.hr again. And then here we can do array dot length +1 is less than authors dot index. No, it should just be index. My bad. Index. So horizontal array or horizontal rule should be added somewhere in here. Or not. I think it's I always do this and then forget how to do it. It's fun. So what I'm trying to do is just have it show a horizontal rule just when I have, when it's the last of the items. Oh, is it? Oh, it's being added. So then I need to do a fragment here. All right, so fixed all those errors. All right, minus whatever this is. Oh, so we actually have to use fragment key, which this can actually be, yeah, author ID. All right, so where is this horizontal rule? Here. So then we can come to our classes again. HR, do color dark primary. I see it, but why is it so small? And then maybe width 100%. Okay, yep. So that should mean I can get rid of this, do a width of 25%, and then a margin of 1 rem auto. Cool. 1 rem is too much, but maybe I can just do auto. I don't know what this type error I keep getting is. I'm going to restart my server. And then, so we need a little bit more than that. So 0.5 rem. Okay, can I refresh now and not have everything break? Cool. All right, that looks fine. Don't know if I love it in the middle there, so maybe we just do that's gonna I think that's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that. All right, so now this will expand, and then that looks weird with the date, but does fine. So I do need a bit more. I do need the margin there. So and then this gap is probably a little too much. Do I even need, well, this gap is different. So I need to change the gap in author socials, maybe? No, that's right. So what's happening here? There's a gap. Oh, so it is the 0.5 gap. So we can set it to maybe like 0.1. Just so there's something there. Perfect. And then, yeah, we'll need to figure out this date, which that should not be difficult to find out, because now I should just keep it below instead of having this be, so blog info, general date. does contain, no, so it should be, I guess this one contains general date. Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect there. And then that's good all the way across. So it does get a little tight there, but I don't think I'm too worried about that. Perfect. So that means I don't need any of this, though I might. Looks good. Looks good. Perfect. Okay. So I think that's about all we need for that. But now what we can do is we can go to our schema. I think I did this. How long have I been going? I can go for a little bit longer. All right, so schema, go to index, and then in our article, I believe we have our add article. We have our author. Oh, we already set this up. So if we go to our scripts down here and find our article, we should be able to see. Okay, so we almost have this set up. We have our channel, but what we need is the actual links. So instead of channel, we can just do full link, which that was a little bit more anticlimactic than I thought it was going to be. Because now this is going to refresh, or I'm going to refresh it. And now I can see same as those links there. And so let's make sure that's all that really needs by going to article, then same as. All right, so that's not helpful. We'll go to schema.org and do same as. Yeah, okay, so it is just going to, it doesn't take an object here, and that's okay. All right, so we've got our authors, type person, same as, then we have type person, and then their same as well. So now we get to work on our plain-text-ify function for blocks. And so this one's going to be fun. So what I'm trying to do is, this is a block here. All of this is blocks. So the problem that we are going to face is if I go to look at our schema, all the way down here, I have to refresh. If we go to our article, we can see that we don't have any content. So we have the headline, date published, but we don't have the full text. That's our breadcrumbs. I'm just making sure that this is true, because what this looks like, or what this has, if we go to our future blog, we don't need this open or this. We can go to this here, and then go to our posts. We've got future blog, and then we have our rich text, which is just a bunch of blocks. And that means that none of our schema is getting to it, or so the plain text thing won't work because it's expecting just one, like it's not expecting sorry, it's really hard to explain this. So we get content, rich text. What the plain text thing is looking for is if we go down, not to table of contents, but we go to our type. You can see it says block type text. That is what my plain text is looking for. So, or I guess really just type text. Anyway, so what we need to do in order to make this work is we have to go through each different block type and add a new section of how we want it to be treated. So if I go to our utilities, lexicalToPlainText, this is where the magic will happen. So we will do this. First we will log node. So if node.type equals block, we'll be given what the nodes look like, which is this here. So this may not be too difficult, but we're about to find out. Because we only need to find the ones that have, well, that's not true either. Because we need to think about how we want to treat the text here, like in the table of contents blocks, or like in any of these blocks. So like this one is easy. Like we want this to be the actual like text. Fine, yes. But then how do I treat this image? And then how do we treat the table of contents here with the 3 different options? Okay, so that's something that needs to be fixed maybe. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So we have our article, we have no text inside it. Let's make sure that our schema does take it. Schema here. I want to make sure that I didn't comment it out. Article body, yes. So that should still be there, but for some reason it is not. Article body. There we go. So we see in the article body that we just get an object. Then over here we can see all of the different blocks that we get. So we can do just one at a time, go through these. And so we have if node type block, and then node fields block type is table of contents. We're going to return here the node. Okay, yep. All right, so we'll do, I think I'm getting it. So we'll do node dot header section. Well, for this it's dot fields dot header section. And then we'll do a period, and then node fields, not title, but we'll do table of contents, which is going to be an array of strings, and we're just gonna join it with a space, hopefully. And so let's see what this does over here. Might have to refresh again. Okay. Not what we wanted, but I did get a period. Okay, so we have node type equals block, and here, let's actually do this so I can get what I'm supposed to be getting. So we can do log node dot fields dot header section. Let's see what this gets me. And then I should do the same thing, yeah. Thanks, IDE, for telling me what I should do. Okay, so here needs to be header section dot header text. And then the table of contents is going to actually need to be so let text so we can do this be table of contents dot map. Then I think we can do extract text again and do the same thing that they did there. Well, dot header text dot map extract text. Article body. All right, so I see table of contents, but I don't see the rest of the information. So what we'll do is content dot header text. This is really makeshift here. We're just making this work code by code, line by line. All right. But I do think it'll get easier as we go. Content dot header text. So we're getting our 3 objects, and then header text. Oh, root. So what this should actually be, maybe extract text. All right, we're getting a little intense here. So let's just see here. So instead of map, we'll just take the first one, and then we should get header text from there. So then we should be able to extract text. Okay, so now we need to be able to map that, which should not be that difficult. So map content, then we can do root. Can't type anymore. And then do our extract text. Come back over here. Article body. There we go. We can see it pop up there. So now content without media. And so here we'll do a join of something like this. That way we can see how things are actually looking. All right, so that's it for table of contents. Cool. So then we've got our content without media. So table of contents. Excuse me. Then we've got we got type block. And now we'll do if content no media. Just make sure that that's what this is actually called. Content no media, perfect. And so we can then return something similar, but we won't need table of contents. We should just be able to do our extract text on content.root. Oh, node. All right, so quick check here because I need to log that node. Node.fields.header section header text, that's right. Node fields, and then I need, yeah, so it should be node fields content dot root, so I shouldn't need any of this, and I can just do my normal extract text here. So let's get rid of that node, give us a refresh here. Article body, just searching for it again. There we go. Perfect. Making good progress here. And so I have to do this for each block that I want to include. But I only need to do it once because it's happening here. So now we've got our block. Next block is a content with media. And so a plain text image is nothing. So we're just going to include, oh, thanks IDE. Okay, return. I think this is going to be right again. Why is this saying that it's always going to be truthy? If node fields dot block type equals content with media. That was very strange. We can return all of that. And we should just have content root, yes. And then we can't do anything with the image because it doesn't do anything. There's no thing to do with it. So now we have, I think, one more block, which is our form block, which we probably don't need to include in our plain text. Yeah, so let's refresh, make sure all of this worked. This one was a bit of a doozy. I wasn't expecting all of this work to just get plain text going here, but yep, that seemed to work. And I could even do something like header and then text in section. And that makes this a little bit more clear about what's happening. Text in section. And then even more so, we could return a line break. Have it refresh one more time. And so we have a bunch of text and stuff, and each section ends with a line break, which schema can recognize. So we'll do the schema.org validation and run test. And so we can see header, table of contents, header, content. So I guess it doesn't really recognize that we have line breaks in here, so let's get rid of that. Oh, is that even the right way? That was not the right way. I'm a dummy sometimes. So I don't think it'll format it in any way, but I would like it to run new test, code snippet, run test. So we've got our header, another header, but this just makes it a little bit easier to read from the plain text point of view. All right, so that's our future blog post. Here, we don't have type. So what we can do why doesn't this one work? So blog test copy. Posts. Okay, so we need to do something real quick. So we are going to, and I have not tried this before, so we'll see if this works, where we need to use a script to get our stuff working here. Don't know if I have it on in these notes. I don't. So let me get rid of these notes, come over to my content notes, and we're going to make a script real quick that will take care of getting my posts back. So when I turned on versions and drafts, it got rid of my posts. They're still there. It's just how they're seen is different. So we're going to just in our root create a new JavaScript file just to make sure it doesn't need types. It does not. So we're going to just do draft script add, and then we're going to import base payload, then get payload from payload, import config from @payload config, perfect. Then we're going to do an async function that's going to do const payload await get payload config. Then we're going to await payload and do an update for what is happening? Do I not need this? Oh. I think I'm misreading some things. All right, so now const payload await get payload. Perfect. Wait payload update. We can do collection. This is going to be posts where, then data. We can do status published. And then I can run this, I think. I think this actually needs to be rename. Well, these should be installed. Maybe I need to drop this in my source. Okay. All right, so that's not quite working like I want it to. All right, so never mind. I will need to look up how to do that in a little bit more detail. But anyway, so, oops. We can just do quick type checks here. Or not type checks. Checks that it actually exists. All right, so since that didn't have any content, of course it broke. So now, here, that doesn't have any blocks. This one also doesn't have any blocks. This one does have blocks, but we should already have this one accounted for. So we find our article. Article body has nothing. But why? Well, let's refresh. I forget sometimes it doesn't quite work that way. There we go. Yep, header, test, text in section, testing. Cool. Test 2. No content. All right, so I do need to figure out then how to get my posts back. Because I can only select the posts that are present here. So, I wonder, and now I'm just going to look and see if I can find an example of turning drafts on and running a script to fix it. Okay, I guess you guys can see what I'm Googling. Drafts, delete, posts, script. So versions. Maybe bulk operations can help me. Nope. I wonder if I can just do this anywhere. So let's go. I can get rid of this. And then let's just go to like our post page here, or let's go to all of our posts, because that's going to be the collection that I'm doing it in. So we'll go to pages, blog here, slug page. So now we are going to just up here do await payload dot update collection posts where now I need that web dev content again, and then the data we will use is going to be status published. So I can save that. Then we'll go to our blog page. Then I should be able to comment that out and refresh. And there are all of our posts. So this seems like a good place to stop now. We've got our posts back in place. We have our block thing doing block things. So we added our favicons. We added our social section, not just to the footer, but also to the author section of blogs. So now the author's social media will be on the blog if we wanted to enable that. And then we had our blocks that we wanted to include as plain text strings for schema, and that's done as well. So we got some good work done. We can come over to our thing here and cross out our to-do list. So we're going to start working with some other things coming up on the next stream where we will build out our local business schema so we can do our addLogo and just finish out all schema. Someone asked me to try out nested blocks. I'll see if that's even possible. From what it seems like, it's not. So their idea was having like a row section or a row block, and then each of those, that block can have individual blocks inside it. We'll see if that's possible, or like section by section. So we'll see. Not very certain, but we'll try it out. And then I have an example there. And then I do want to work with the search plugin. Haven't done that before, so I think that could be interesting. And then maybe we can work on adding a color picker. We may actually do that here. So if the nested block doesn't work, add color picker for background color. And here I'll just try to use another example of like a lexical feature to build my own color picker. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think, yeah, we'll call it quits here. Went for almost 2 hours. I think that's plenty of time. So hopefully you enjoyed this and you learned something. Don't forget to check that you are subscribed to my channel. I put out new tutorials. One's coming out tomorrow at 8 a.m. I hope you are there to watch it. Like the content, share it with friends or those who might find content like this helpful or who just like live coding. And I'll be back on later this week. I'll send out a post for the next time that I'm streaming live. But thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you on the next one.